All right, let's get into this, which I'm sort of disgusted that I even have to cover. The incoming Trump administration's plan for mass deportations, it's not just an enormous moral failure. This is a ticking economic time bomb that could blow up the entire American economy. Now, I know that some people are going to say, David, you're exaggerating. The facts are irrefutable, and the history is completely clear for anybody willing to open their eyes. So let me break down how this plays out, and hopefully this will talk some sense into the right wingers who believe that morally it's right to deport every undocumented immigrant. If you care about the economy, maybe you'll consider that as well. We're going to look at this industry by industry, and we're going to look at the ripple effects of what Trump's deportation plan would do. Industries that depend on undocumented immigrants are going to be decimated. Take agriculture. Right now, undocumented immigrants make up between 50 and 70% of America's farm labor force. Guess what happens without them? Fields of produce sit and rot, unharvested and wasted. This isn't some left-wing fantasy. It's what happened in Georgia in 2011. Harsh anti-immigration laws led to this huge labor shortage, and farmers just sat around watching as $140 million worth of crops just never made it out of the ground. That is one single state. Now multiply that across the entire country, and you're looking at a very bleak economic picture. And of course, that will lead to the price of groceries going up. Trump promised down. Now he's acknowledging not so easy. Grocery prices will go up. The industry of building construction, same story. 13% of construction workers are undocumented. These are the people putting up buildings where you will either live or work or shop or go to the doctor's office or whatever the case may be. You remove them, it doesn't magically create American workers to fill the gap. Sure, eventually you may be able to do that, but not right away. What you will get instead are stalled projects, skyrocketing housing prices because we're building fewer homes, and slowed economic growth. It's a lose-lose. And of course, prices go up. That's the theme. The hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels, resorts, they all depend heavily on the undocumented workforce. When the undocumented workers vanish, small businesses, and I'm talking about, the family-run corner diner, not just the big chains, they will struggle to find staff. Over time, the result is fewer services and higher costs for consumers. So this is the economy grinding slower and slower because we pull out a critical gear. So now let's address the folks who think that the deportations actually save money because we don't devote resources that we currently devote. If we get all the undocumented immigrants out, all of a sudden we save a bunch of money. Undocumented immigrants pay about $12 billion a year into Social Security. Money they will never get back. They pay in, they won't get the money out. It funnels money into your eventual Social Security benefits. That's a net positive. It's propping up a system that many Americans depend on to retire. Undocumented immigrants pay nearly $12 billion in state and local taxes each year. They are funding your schools, your roads, your fire and police. You kick them out, what happens to the money? It's gone. Can you replace it? You can replace it if you want. The American taxpayer will end up holding the bag. Again, costs go up. Now, I do think it's worth saying something here about crime, because we've all heard Trump's fear-mongering about immigrants and crime. This is where the data is crystal clear. Immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit crimes at lower rates than Americans born here in the United States. States with larger immigrant populations often have lower crime. We've looked at the data. When you launch these indiscriminate deportation sweeps that Trump claims he's going to launch, you drain resources from focusing on real threats. It's counterproductive. It destabilizes communities. It creates a climate of fear which helps nobody. And if you don't believe this could happen at a large scale to the economy, look at the history. Alabama in 2011 passed a draconian law called HB 56, and it forced undocumented workers to flee. The agricultural sector lost $10 billion in a single year, far more than the undocumented labor force was costing the state. Consider post-Brexit Britain. Strict immigration policies led to massive labor shortages. In 2022, British farmers left over 60 million pounds of crops to rot. That's exactly what I'm saying will happen here. It's happened in Georgia, it happened in Alabama, it happened in Britain. Hotels, restaurants, healthcare, trying to find staff, driving up costs, services get worse. And so what we have here is a situation where anti-immigrant ideology starts to trump economic common sense. Everybody's going to lose. Remember Arizona's SB 1070 law, the show us your papers law. Construction slowed, the state's GDP went down, and it was so bad that you even had Republican business leaders, not exactly, radical left-wingers, saying this was not a good idea, this hasn't worked out. So the bottom line is that if it succeeds, this massive militarized deportation policy is not going to make America great. It's going to sabotage the economy just to fulfill or satisfy a xenophobic agenda. And the irony is painful because you know who will suffer? The farmers are going to suffer. The small business owners are going to suffer. Everyday Americans who might be cheering the idea of the deportations, they will be feeling the consequences first and hardest and paying more for stuff. What do you think? I want to hear from you. Do supporters of these policies understand the economic damage, or is the rhetoric simply too blinding to them? Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, the Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.